Niko House, thank you so much for coming on today. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself to the stream, we jump in from there.
I am a political analyst and commentator and activist and organizer and documentarian, amongst other things.
Okay.
I've worked for, advised Bernie Sanders, Jill Stein, Tulsi Gabbard, as well as a few congressional candidates and some people who are currently in Congress, unfortunately. Uh,
Okay.
I'm mostly known as for debating, honestly. Lately, it's been mostly that.
Yeah.
And starting the DNC fraud lawsuit, um, which went to the Supreme Court and got dismissed by Clarence Thomas, unfortunately. But yeah, I'm also a contributor for RT News, for RT
Okay.
International.
When I was looking you up, I saw that. Yeah. I don't know if you know who I am, but I mean, most people watching probably do, considering this is my channel. At least I would hope they know who I am. But yeah, I really appreciate again you coming on. My name's Hunter Avalone. I'm a social democrat, if you will. So I know we're gonna have a little bit of disagreements, but I wanted to really talk to you about what you said at the Better Discourse panel, particularly about like the CIA and unlimited funding to Google and Facebook, and how that sort of relates to like the platform versus publisher discussion as well. I mean, I heavily disagreed with what you said initially about the CIA giving unlimited funding to Google and Facebook, but do you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. So obviously, there are different avenues that are taken to provide the unlimited funding. In the scope of the conversation that we had on the panel, I definitely had to oversimplify it, but I'll give an example. Um, Earth used to actually be called Keyhole.
Mm-hmm.
Keyhole, CIA actually owned, I want to say the majority of Keyhole, and it's specifically created for mapping and things like that. And then, even though the CIA owned Keyhole, they allowed Google to buy them in 2004. They owned Keyhole in 2003. They allowed Google to buy them in 2004. Now, mind you, this is still within the context of Google having a plethora of government contracts.
So I'm going to
And
take issue with
Google
what you've
Map,
said
Google,
already because I already
right,
think that you're oversimplifying and overstating some things. So when you
right.
say they have a plethora of government contracts, that's not true. So if we're talking about Google specifically, there was one grant given in
No. You're.
1995.
I already know what you're referring to. You're talking about to the two college students. What? Page and
Yeah, Larry
Ricky.
Page,
No, that's not the
Sergey
only.
Brin.
That's not the only thing that they've gotten. I mean,
They
I feel
had a
like I.
few other grants, which is, I mean, completely
They've had.
acceptable and within the
They've
law, but
had.
they didn't have a plethora. They had really just one grant in
Let me
1995.
let me
And
give
then
you.
when
Let
you,
me give
well,
you
hold on, wait,
the.
I need to respond to the second thing you said
Go
too,
ahead. Go
because
ahead.
when you brought up the Google Earth thing also, nothing is weird about this. The CIA developed some technology that they used for their own reasons, and then they sold it away to Google, and Google went on to further
Not.
develop the,
That's
no,
not.
no, no, no,
That's
no.
not correct.
Google
How
went
that
on
happened?
to I am literally reading it right here
Reading from
from
where?
a 2004 article when the news first broke. Google has acquired 3D mapping company Keyhole for an undisclosed sum and announced that it's cutting the price of the consumer edition. So
For.
there's no like why is this weird? This is just
So this, you don't
Google
find it weird that the CIA, which by the way, I think at least interviewed. They don't have to say who they invested in, but they at least interviewed thousands thousands of startups whenever Silicon Valley first became a thing.
I'm aware of
In the
this, but
late
this is
in the late
all
90s.
but
Hold on,
this
let me
is all
finish.
within the
Let me
legal
finish. Let me
confines
finish.
here.
Let me finish. Okay, now I don't know why I have to keep saying people throw out this legal confines things. Yes, let's just go ahead and take that for granted that it's happening within a legal confine.
Mhm.
Legal and ethical are two different things. One, like slavery was legal at one point. I think that we all know that sometimes the government will make things legal if it is convenient to their bottom line. This is not new. This is well, I feel like this should be well understood, especially by a social democrat who I would assume is a little bit distrustful of the intelligence community,
But this
given
isn't just a
how they've tormented and literally gone after leftists.
but no,
So
but so what you're
let me finish.
talking
Oh, let me
about
finish.
no,
Let me
but you're
finish. I'll let you finish. I'll let you finish. Please let me finish. Thank you. So when we're talking about, let's just go ahead and talk about Keyhole since we're already focused on it. In the press release announcing the investment, a few months later, InQtel discussed Keyhole's close collaboration with the military and intelligence partners, explained that Keyhole technology was already being successfully deployed by active forces
Mm-hmm.
active military forces, excuse me, in Iraq, immediately
Mm-hmm.
demonstrating the value of Keyhole's technology to the national security community. Now, how can then we now if say let's just say now we know obviously Keyhole
Can
is
you
bought by
wrap it up,
Google.
please? Because you have been talking for a while, and
Let
you
me finish,
you've
please.
said a lot
Let
of
me
things I
finish.
haven't been able
Let
to.
me finish. Hunter, did you invite me on here to give my explanation, or did you want to
Yes,
cut me
but
off
your
and try and prove you
explanation
right?
shouldn't take this long because I
So
also have to
let me
respond to a
finish.
lot of the things
If
you're saying here.
you're trying to make me break down literally 20 to 30 years of of investment
I'm
venture
not. I read
capitalism
about
funding.
all of this today, and you're just
Oh,
misinterpreting it, and so it makes me want
you
to
read
cut you
articles
off.
that you already quoted in your video like a week ago. Like, come on, relax, calm
No,
down.
I did more. Hold on,
Finish.
Nico. I did
Hunter, let
more
me finish.
research today. Okay,
Hunter,
so when you
let
talk,
me
no, I'm gonna
Hunter,
respond out of what
let
you
me.
said. So when you
No,
brought
you
up,
didn't let.
yes, I am
What are
because
you? Hunter, what
because
are you responding to? I haven't
the
said
first
anything
thing
yet.
you said about how the
Let me
government,
finish the
no, the first thing you
conclusion.
said about how the
Let me
government
finish
will
the
do
Hunter.
anything they
Let
can
me
to
finish
benefit
the
their bottom dollar.
conclusion.
So
I
the
didn't come on here to listen to you talk. I came on here to say what I had to say, and then you can respond to my complete thought. But if
okay,
you want to
make your
just have a
complete thought
conversation
in
where
30
you're
seconds, or I'm
talking,
gonna cut you off again.
if you're gonna cut me off, then we don't have to have this conversation. It's really that simple. I don't have to waste my time. I'm just saying.
Can you please
I
go
have
get to your
more valuable
conclusion? Because
things
I
to
have
say.
something
Okay.
specific I'd
Well,
like to
how
respond
about
to.
this? How about this? I'm your guest. You're not going to rush me. Thank you. Appreciate it. So, what my point is that one, as far as Google and Google Earth is concerned, considering it came straight from Keyhole, when you're talking about military contracts intertwined with venture capitalist funding, what is to stop Google from behaving on behalf of the government, where so much of their money and their value in their network is tied into?
Okay, so
So
now can I please respond? So first and foremost, the answer to that is that you're again overestimating how much they actually received. Google received the two
you
guys were
literally
hold
don't
on,
know.
the two
You
guys
literally don't know.
buddy, the two
You don't know.
wait, you yelled at
I'm
me
just
for
saying
not
you don't know
you
because
yelled at me for not letting you
they
finish and
don't
you're
have to
literally not
wait.
letting me talk. So first and foremost, there were the two guys who got the grant because they were developing the search engine. And second of all, when we talk about the legality, I brought up the legality and said that giving grants is completely reasonable and totally within the confines of the law. And you said the government will do whatever they can to benefit their bottom dollar, so it doesn't matter. And I wanted to push back on that by telling you there is a constitutional
Okay. Yeah.
clause that allows the government to give grants. So it's commonly known as the spending clause. It's Article 1, Section 8, Clause 1
I'm
of the
fully aware of
US
that.
Constitution. Okay, so this gives companies and the federal government, this gives the federal government the right, the legal right to give grants under certain conditions. So this is not like some weird law that was put in place to benefit the government's bottom dollar. This was literally like this is part of the
How is it?
Constitution.
Okay. No, you gotta explain why. Why do you think it's not a weird law that was put in place specifically to benefit the government's bottom
Because
dollar?
there's a
How do you feel like
spending
that is not
clause
the
in
case?
the US Constitution. Do you think when they founded the country, they designed it to benefit the venture capitalist firms?
They did largely craft the Constitution and other policies around benefiting capitalists and landowners. Yeah, I mean that's
So
common sense.
regardless,
Like,
the
I mean,
government is allowed to give grants, and your inference that this was some kind of new thing put forward in
no,
order to
I didn't
benefit
say
the
it was new.
government's bottom
I
dollar.
didn't say it
I
was
didn't say
new.
you said it. I said it was the inference, and I'm telling you that I'm
I didn't.
pushing
How
back
did
on
I
that.
infer that it was new?
I'm pushing back on that because this
Extrapolating.
isn't
You're
anything to
extrapolating.
do
You're making
with
things up as you go. I never said that. But go ahead.
this isn't anything to benefit private or to benefit like this was nothing to benefit the government's bottom dollar. This is a U.S.
Let me see it.
constitutional clause, and there are also, keep in mind, there are also constraints
But
when
you keep
giving
making
grants,
that
right?
assertion. I'm just trying to understand where are you saying with absoluteness that this was in no way to benefit the government's bottom dollar. Please explain that part to
Wait,
me.
well, I mean, if it benefits the bottom dollar of the government, usually that's not how grants work. So under the conditions of giving grants, the government
So,
has to have, hold on, the government can give grants as long as they believe or they're in the pursuit of the betterment of the general welfare of the public. I
okay,
have
so
this
you
little
think
summary
that
here.
the
So there was a,
government is giving grants to people they believe they wouldn't benefit from?
no.
Okay,
The
now let's go
government's
back.
giving, wait,
So
no,
I
no,
guess
no.
so
So
my
the
question
government,
is,
wait, you
Hunter,
asked me a question. I'd like to respond. So the
do you
government
trust the
gives,
government enough? Do you trust the federal government enough to give willingly, altruistically, with no intention on going to get a return on that investment, whether it come as a grant or venture capitalist funding? Do
so,
you believe? Do you trust the government that much? Because if that's the case,
I
then I
mean,
guess that's why we're having so much disagreement.
I mean,
But go ahead.
sure. I'm not really too interested in getting into that specifics of if I trust the government or not, but
No,
rather
that's a
I want
major
to.
part of
No,
the
I
whole
rather want to
conversation because
deliver to you. No,
you're
I
talking
just
about
want to get,
legality. Like
dude.
I didn't argue
Please,
about
buddy.
legality. I didn't
Dude,
argue about legality. The
I
whole crux of
am bringing.
legality is
You said
debate.
they are doing it just to benefit their bottom dollar, and under the conditions of giving grants, they have to be in the pursuit of the general welfare. So yes, if the CIA wants to invest via their capitalist venture firm, which by the way is independent of the CIA. They only receive
Oh,
CIA
what?
funding. No, they
Did
only
you
receive CIA funding, but they're independent from the
never?
CIA
Oh,
actually.
okay. Okay.
So
Wow.
giving that,
How are you?
they can totally have other uses for it. Say, hey, this social media company might benefit us in tracking terrorism. We believe this is for general welfare. This might have something that can also benefit us. Just if they see another benefit for that technology does not mean that that actual technology is some kind of a government entity. The government can access these services just like you and I can. I can look at Google Earth, so can the government. This isn't,
Government has a little bit more access than you. If you think you have as much,
well,
Hunter, how old are you real quick? How
Google
old are you,
did
Hunter?
develop
If you don't mind me
specific
asking.
technology for the
Hunter,
CIA at one point, but just like they have
how old
for
are you?
various other companies as well.
How old are you?
I'm
If you don't mind me asking.
25.
5. Have you ever served in the military?
How old are you?
No, I mean, have you ever served in the military?
No.
Oh, okay. So I served in the military. I've had my brother is former intel. I don't know if you understand how a lot of this stuff works because it seems like you're saying things that are technically true in some regards, like, yeah, it's a nonprofit. Okay, and like, of course, if I'm the CIA, which is what the CIA was created to do, is to create a buffer between legal and ethical, so that you don't have to worry about either.
That's
And you can
nothing but
do things.
conjecture. That's
You
purely
can do
conjecture.
things.
No,
Hold
they
on,
have
let me finish,
no,
please.
they have
Let me finish,
constitutional
please.
basis for
Let
believing
me
what they
finish,
believe.
please. Hunter, let me
They have a
finish, please.
constitutional basis for this.
Yeah, you know
You're
what? And
making
there
up
was a
conjecture.
constitutional basis made for literal slavery, Hunter. Are you really going to keep arguing whether
There
something
was a
is, yes, we
constitutional
know it's
basis for
legal.
slavery? I thought there was only
If it's,
not
they
something that
can
said
make
slavery was bad.
whatever look legal as they want it. They can make it look legal. They can pay off enough people. They can have their Congress say whatever they need to for it to be legal. That's not the question at hand. It is that undue influence potentially nefariously affecting the outcome of engagement on social media,
How would it?
potentially even in some cases, maybe even affecting the election, like the Regina Dugan situation, which I think that you're partially at least familiar with, how she left the CIA, or DARPA specifically, which is the CIA's research and development
Yes, I'm aware.
group that falls under the Department of Defense.
Just
By
if
the way,
one person from
I wonder what they're
CIA's.
doing. No, pause. No, she's not one person from the CIA. She's also the former head of research and technology in Google, and she went from Google directly to Facebook in 2016 during the election and left after the election was over.
So
She
you
left
realize
our
why I'm having I think I know why we're breaking here is because I seem to be trying to deliver you like the facts as long as how like the Constitution recognizes it and how like the legality of what this means, and then you're kind of giving me nothing but conspiracy theories about how
no. So
yes,
hold on.
you
So
did.
you're
You were
saying
like,
Regina
no, you
Dugan
did. You
leaving?
said, hold on, wait.
Hold on.
I let
You're
you, buddy.
claiming
I
that
let
Regina
you talk
Dugan
for
leaving
5 whole
leaving
minutes straight.
DARPA,
Now it's my
going
turn to
to
actually
going to
respond.
Google and then going to Facebook
So
is
you
conspiracy
are
theory?
peddling
Conspiracy theory that you can look up on Google?
no,
Come
you're
on, Hunter.
peddling
You're
conspiracy
smarter than this.
theories by saying
You're
I
smarter
worked
than
in
this.
the
You're
no,
smarter than this.
you
When your
no,
facts are absent,
you
listen, when your
were
facts
you
are absent of logic, when your facts are absent of logic, it doesn't matter how quote unquote how many facts you got right. You're quoting meaningless facts without context because you don't seem to have any
no,
real life
I'm not.
experience.
Wait. You're
to
quote.
understand
All
how
right, you're
these
muted.
concepts
Nope, you're
actually
muted.
intertwine.
All right. So you literally are accusing me of using meaningless facts. Do you realize how stupid you sound when you say something like that? You are giving me a conspiracy theory because I'm explaining to you the legality of this issue and how it falls in line with the U.S. Constitution. And you're saying, well, I had a brother and I worked in the military, so I know about the intelligence thing, and they're actually just trying to make a buffer between legality and ethics. This is pure conjecture. You're telling me a story, and that's why I'm calling it a conspiracy theory. Thank you. Now, it's very nice being able to talk uninterrupted. You're now unmuted. Go for it.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. If you wanna leave, you can do that.
You won't let me talk, so what am I supposed to do?
Well, no, because you want to cut me off with nonsense and then spew things that I didn't say, then try to pretend as if
You were literally still
you
talking
quoted
when you were
oh my God,
muted.
it's legal. You just had a 40-minute conversation about how it's legal for the CIA to do what the CIA wants. Duh. That's the CIA. They get to do whatever the hell they
No.
want to. I feel like you don't even
This is
understand
conspiracy
that. You
bait.
know how there's nothing conspiratorial about the history of the
Yes,
CIA. Are
that
you
the
kidding
CIA
me?
is
Do
paying
you
people
have
off
it?
to change
Oh
the
my God, I just
laws. Oh my
realized.
God, dude.
Something.
Yeah, I didn't realize you were so
You have
fucking
no
deep in
idea
these
how the hell
conspiracy
the world actually
theories.
works for you.
I
Hold on,
know,
Hunter,
I
you might
don't.
want
I
to get
think
out
I
of the
need to
way,
go
too.
work in the military for a little while. Have you checked out Alex Jones? I mean, he seems like he'd be right up your alley with some of this stuff.
What is Alex Jones that did Alex Jones could call Regina Dugan a conspiracy theory? Like you can't just Google her fucking work history?
I'm
Are you
sorry,
kidding
I
me?
didn't call
Are you
I
kidding
called
me?
you a
You just
conspiracy
said
theorist.
a
You
woman
wait.
who has a
You said
Wikipedia
that I
page
called.
of her work history. Bringing up her work history is actually conspiracy theory. That's
Oh
what you
my
just said.
God, I can't believe we're only 15 minutes in this conversation and it's derailed to this fucking extent.
Yeah,
So
I guess.
again, your original
Calm
claim
down. It's not that
was
serious. Not that serious.
I know, you're right, it's so not serious. But anyway, your original claim was that the CIA is giving unlimited funding to Google and Facebook when that is just not true. Google
How do you know it's
received
not true? They
because you
literally
can
don't have to. They don't.
because
They
you
don't.
can
They
read
literally
the
don't have to
grant
tell you how much
history.
money
What do
they're
you
giving. What are you
mean?
talking about? They give money. They have a venture capitalism firm. They
Yes.
give money. They don't have to
Yes.
disclose exactly how much it is. What
So
do you
you
like, what
realize,
do you think?
but
How do you
you're
think all this stuff works?
you're thinking of this as being nefarious when it's not. So again,
Okay, so let me give you another
hold on,
example.
wait.
Let me give you another
No, no,
example.
no. I get to respond first
That
because
one was too
government
far behind. So
subsidies
how about
exist
this?
and
Are you
government
familiar with
invests in
SpaceX?
other
Are you familiar
areas
with
of
SpaceX?
science all the time
Hunter,
to
are you
try
familiar
and
with
actually
SpaceX?
benefit that
Are
industry,
you?
right? So for example,
Hold
when
on,
it came, all right, hold on. I'm gonna have to mute you really quick so I can finish my thought.
okay.
So when it came to like the atomic bomb, for example, these were private citizens, scientists working that the government then stepped in to help them because they too saw a benefit there. The government stepping in, giving you grants, giving you subsidies, one, doesn't make you an agent of the state, and two, it is literally desired. A lot of these small tech companies want to get a phone call from Inquitel because that helps them get their foot in the door in Washington and start receiving federal grants and federal recognition, which helps their company grow. Again, just if the government sees a secondary use for some technology, so they give a grant, this means nothing. This doesn't make it into an agent of the state. And also, there's not unlimited funding to Google and Facebook. They received like a couple grants when they were startups, and that was the end of it. All right, you're unmuted now. Thanks.
Okay, so you're familiar with SpaceX? Of course you are. So, do you know that the only way you can invest in the SpaceX is to actually buy stocks in Google?
Did you know that we weren't at all talking about SpaceX? What does this have to do with anything?
Oh my God, bro, answer the question. It's a yes or a no answer.
No, I'm not answering it because it's irrelevant.
You don't know if you knew it or not. It's a yes or a no fucking question.
Did you have frosted flakes for breakfast? Did you have frosted flakes for breakfast? If we're gonna just ask, if we're just asking random questions, then I'm gonna go for it too.
It's a yes or a no question. If it's not a big deal, if you think it's gonna be some one-off conversation that isn't gonna add to the argument, then you have nothing to fear. Hunter, just answer the question.
What was the question again?
I said, did you know that the only way that you can invest into SpaceX is to invest in Google?
I haven't heard of that, but I also don't believe you since everything else you've said thus far has been a lie.
Don't believe it. It's fine. Don't believe it. It's fine. You can literally just Google it, like you can Google Regina Dugan's jobs. But hey, I guess everything.
Well, again, this has nothing to do with what we just talked about, so I'm not really sure what.
Real quick, shh. I'm gonna learn you something real quick. So.
Oh, okay.
Do you know that SpaceX?
Educate me, Daddy.
They eventually ended up not partnering. They literally have a contract with the Pentagon because now the Pentagon plans on using SpaceX to deliver equipment and specifically weapons around the world in less than a couple of hours. Now, do you think SpaceX had a choice?
I'm literally not answering any of these questions, considering we're
actually,
talking about.
okay,
Wait. I initiated.
Don't worry about it. Hunter.
I said I wanted to talk to you about CIA giving unlimited funding to Google and Facebook.
I'm gonna explain to you how the shit works.
Then can you just get to the point? Because you're taking forever to get there.
Listen, Jesus fucking Christ, Hunter. Jesus Christ, bro. You take your ADHD medication? Like, because if you did, I need you to go take that shit, shut the fuck up, and let me finish, please. Thank you. So, like I was saying, QTEL had a hand in both Google and SpaceX. Now, SpaceX does exactly what the government does, the same Department of Defense that the Pentagon belongs to, that the CIA belongs to. I feel like I don't have to explain that one any further. Okay. Do you think that the security of SpaceX will still be what it is today if they decided I'm going to cut all of my contracts with both the CIA and the Pentagon? And do you think that Tesla, who is obviously we know in charge of SpaceX and the founder of SpaceX, do you think that those subsidies that he got for Tesla. I mean, a company that was literally operating out of the red. Do you think that that had anything to do with the fact that he secured those contracts?
Do you think that receiving funding or grants or subsidies makes you in any way like an agent of the state?
I feel like you didn't hear anything.
Well, I'm not really trying to entertain the
So
irrelevant questioning that
the
you seem to be
state
trying to take
literally
me
is
down, which has
using
nothing to do
SpaceX.
with anything.
State is using SpaceX
I don't know. I
technology
didn't know we were
to
here to
deliver
talk about
the state's
SpaceX.
weapons around the world, and we live in the biggest empire in history. I mean, Hunter, if I gotta break it down to you that much,
Do you want to go
like,
read the DMs again? Because I explicitly said I wanted to
you're
talk to you about what
smarter
you
than
said on the Better Discourse thing, and it was about the CIA
Hunter,
specifically.
I am explaining to you. You just asked me specifically, and I'm answering your question. Why does that mean this? It's gonna do. They're gonna do the bidding of the state because I just gave you an example of them
No, you
doing the
didn't.
bidding of the state.
No, you
And I
didn't. You
just gave
said
you
they
an
might.
example
No,
how they
you
have a
didn't. You
vested
asked.
interest. They have a vested interest, literally a vested interest into doing in doing the bidding of the state. Because if they do not, they can have their contracts and their funding and plethora of other things. I'm sure
So
get snatched from under them.
no,
It's
because you're
common sense.
misunderstanding
This
how
is how
subsidies and grants
transactional
work.
relationships
So
work with the government in the real world.
so you're
Go ahead.
you're misunderstanding how grants work actually. So there are like
I'm
first of all,
no, we're not talking about a grant with SpaceX. Just as the example that I was just talking about. I'm not talking about a grant.
you're talking about subsidies, right? Like
When we're talking
government,
about
like
Tesla, so if we're talking about Tesla,
again, I don't know. Was it Tesla or was it SpaceX?
because the reason I brought up Tesla is because Elon Musk is the head guy for both.
Uh
He
huh.
got his subsidies first through Tesla,
Mm-hmm.
even though it didn't make any sense because there were other people developing electric car technology that was actually more affordable and didn't
Right.
blow up
So do I
effectively.
think that that might compromise his ability or whatnot? Here's the thing, though. Again, is you have to recognize when these subsidies, when these grants, whatever, when they are given, when this funding is put forward, they are allowed to have conditions, but they're not able to really step in there and be like, you must do this, and you must give me exclusive access to this. That's not how
They
it
just
works.
control you
Usually
through
when it's
funding.
subsidies, the reason they subsidize those areas is because they see a benefit to the general public and to the general welfare of this thing, and they also decide to invest in it to help grow that one small private company because they might see a broader use for it. It could be the Central Intelligence Community. It could also be an entirely unrelated thing to the CIA. Virtually anyone can give grants. So I'm not sure what exactly your argument is here. Just because
Hunter,
they
honestly, I don't even know how to have a conversation with you because you live in a fantasy world. Like I just didn't imagine having to come here and explain to you, hey, the CIA is nefarious. Like literally the same intelligence community that was responsible for the overthrowing multiple.
if you don't trust the CIA, then who do you
around the world.
trust? If you don't trust like our intelligence systems, then who do you
Are you
trust?
serious? Do you genuinely trust the CIA?
I'm
not even
I'm
100%.
asking you who
Let's just
you
say
trust.
75%. Let's
Do
just
you
say
trust them?
75%.
Do you trust them 50%?
Why the fuck would I trust the CIA?
Well, you said
I
it's.
am a black man in America.
What does that have to do
I
with
don't understand
anything?
why the fuck
What?
you would think I would trust the CIA, bro. I'm genuinely curious.
Wait, so if you don't trust the CIA or you don't trust like our institutions, then what do you trust? Who do you trust?
That are gathered through primary sources, and I
Is the CIA not ever a primary source? Do you think maybe the CIA has access to information that we as the like regular public doesn't?
literally lies for a living, Hunter. I don't know how else can I explain this to you. They lie for a living.
I just
They get
don't think
caught
you realize
lying
how
on a
silly
regular-
you sound when you say,
They-
I don't trust the CIA, I just trust
I
hard
sound
data. Like, how do
silly?
you know? How do you find that? How do you go about,
Holy
like,
shit.
how,
Bro,
if you don't trust
you
our
mean the same
institutions,
CIA
then who
that
the
said
fuck do you
Gaddafi was
trust?
killing his own people? Hold on. The same CIA that said Gaddafi was killing his own people, only to find out he was the elected chairman of the African Union, and it was actually Chad who had a leader that we actually installed in order to get Gaddafi out. And then we told him to send terrorists over to Libya, then forced Gaddafi to defend himself, claimed that he was killing his own people. But instead, once Gaddafi was finally assassinated, which was ultimately the goal for humanitarian efforts, we have open market slavery in Libya, by the way. It doesn't seem like the humanitarian aid is necessary now all of a sudden. But we made sure to arrest the former head of Chad that we installed, put him on the ICC so he couldn't talk. You mean that CIA?
So
that
you
literally
realize that,
lied
okay, so
for
first
two
of all,
fucking
I never
decades
said the
about a
CIA
state
was,
leader.
I
Hold on,
never
you mean
said,
the
hold on.
CIA that admitted that they were lying about Stalin the
Buddy,
entire time? And
I
that they
never said
exaggerated
the
facts and
CIA
figures?
is just should only be like trusted 100% of the time. It was just kind of ironic that you came on here and told me that I was spewing meaningless facts and then tried to shit on me for like listening to certain aspects of what the CIA said when it comes to their venture capitalist firm. Again, I don't know how hard I don't know how many times I need to like repeat myself. And also I'm trying really hard to get us back on subject, but your original claim was that CIA is providing unlimited funding to Google and Facebook, and you're unable to substantiate that at all. In-Q-Tel gave grants at the beginning phases of the companies, and
No,
that
first of
was
all, the
it.
CIA gave grant. No, you're confusing. CIA gave grants to the two college students that started Google. You're talking about no, that's not In-Q-Tel invest. They don't give grants. So continue.
All right. I got you. Yes, but when they give, well, actually, no, that's not true. In-Q-Tel can invest in certain ways, but the CIA, or I think it was another company as well. I don't remember the name. I think it was MDDS. Those were grants. It was in 1995, and it was one of the first and most promising grants. And they went to the computers. It was for the future Google co-founders, for the development of the Google search engine. So again, the CIA or the intelligence community saw a benefit in that technology, so they gave a grant, but that grant doesn't mean that Google becomes an arm of the CIA or does anything for the CIA or follows the CIA's orders. That's not how this is. So that's what I was trying to...
Where are you? Okay, so we have literally almost a century now of just example after example after example of how the CIA manipulates their status, does all their work does all their work in the shadows to get the outcome that they want for the elite, never for us. If you can give me an example that you'd like to cite where something was done for us, I would really appreciate it, but it's never been for us. So you actually believe that when Silicon Valley became what it became, like when it was like in their onset or in its onset, like the CIA literally started interviewing thousands. I mean, almost all of the companies that were starting up at the time in the area because they just had altruistic and magnanimous intentions, Hunter.
Well, they literally saw benefits. They saw ways, sure. Some of it could have been like something that we don't like. They could have seen it as a way to track people or data mine or whatnot. But again, just if they see an ulterior use for a software and then they give a grant to it, this does not mean that that thing becomes an agent of the state. And it also doesn't mean that they're following CIA orders. For example, when you brought up the Google Earth thing, when you actually read about it, I have this this article up right here on my screen for anybody that's watching over on my end, but Google acquired the company. They purchased the company, and that was it. So like the idea that do you wait.
Google purchased the company. They purchased Keyhole. They called it Google Earth, and then
and they changed it and they developed it and they also put it towards technology and they put it towards technology that we all use and they put it towards technology that we and they put it towards technology that we all use to this day. For example, Google Maps, Street View, this all came from the original 3D Earth or Earth viewer, which again, just if it's...
You think that they gave tens of millions of dollars to these companies or acquired them for tens of millions because of Street View, Hunter?
No, I think that they saw a use for the 3D mapping software and then they purchased it. What do you mean?
Google Earth wasn't just used to spy on people's girlfriends. Like most of its applications are not, we can't use them. It's literally the intelligence community that can take full advantage of everything.
This is not true.
Subsequently, Google Earth. Are you kidding
No,
me?
you're
You really think you have as much access to the same technology?
No, I didn't say that we have the same access to the same technology, but the idea that Google Earth is somehow only built specifically for the CIA and they have access to all the special features that we don't is absolutely ridiculous. Second of all, I know, hold on, buddy, I know what you're sorting, okay? And it's that in like 2003, the CIA purchased search application software developed by Google for them to use. But again, Google was selling this technology to all kinds of places. It wasn't just to the CIA. They sold it to energy firms as well. I'm pretty sure that's what you're referencing. And them developing software specifically for the government, that's not a conspiracy. That's not a bad thing.
CIA had Keyhole first, then Google bought it. No, I don't think you're talking about the same thing.
I am talking. So yes, so the CIA developed software that they used for foreign affairs, like looking at right here during the
Well, yeah, they did it
2003
through
invasion of
the
Iraq.
company Keyhole.
And then, yes, through the company Keyhole. And then Google came along and purchased
And
the company.
purchase Keyhole. Yeah.
So they
That's
owned
how
the
it works.
company. They own, no, they
So
own, no.
and now
I'm sorry. They
okay,
didn't buy Keyhole.
I
They
know
didn't
they
buy, I'm
I know
sorry.
they
Wait.
own
I
it.
messed up. I made a mistake.
Go ahead.
They didn't buy Keyhole. I don't think, I think it was just the CIA backed mapping startup specifically, unless was Keyhole only about Earth Viewer? So Earth Viewer isn't the only technology. Why would Google want Keyhole? Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, my mistake. I wanted to just make sure I was correct here with the sources. So yeah, they acquired Keyhole and then went on to just continue to develop that technology for their own use. I don't know how this is like a conspiracy. How, like, you're the one who's making this
There's
sound.
nothing conspiratorial. You're literally like, yeah, the CIA bought something, then developed the technology for their own use, and I don't. What do you think
And
what do you
then
think the
Google
CIA uses
acquired
it
it,
for?
and
I
now
don't.
it's a
I'm
public thing
genuinely
that
curious
everybody
as to
uses.
what do you think the CIA uses all of this shit for? Like that's the shit I get confused about, I guess, Hunter. Because you're like, yeah, the CIA developed it for its own use. What I mean, what else? There's nothing wrong with that.
So
You say there its
when we're
own use.
talking,
You
are you
listen
talking about
this ellipsis
specifically
at the
Earth
end of
Viewer?
this statement.
Are you
Its
talking
own use.
specifically Earth Viewer in this instance
I'm
here?
just saying in
Because
general. I mean, you can talk about Earth Viewer, I guess, but I'm talking about generally speaking. You keep speaking as if like, oh, they're just buying the technology and developing it for its own use. Yeah,
so
that's
the CIA
problem, brother.
developed developed some of the 3D mapping that came to Earth Viewer. They developed some of that software for their own reason. And then later that software was acquired by Google, owned by Google, and no longer was under the control at all of the CIA. So that was the first thing. Second of all, when you're talking about the
Oh, where you keep
grants,
getting it was no
again,
longer under the control of the CIA whenever the CIA literally has
because
contracts.
where do you have the where's any
They
evidence
have
that they
contracts
are?
with Google. They have the
Contracts are
with Google.
different. I already know
I
about
don't.
this.
Okay,
This
listen.
is
I'm
literally,
actually
hold on, I
I
have a
was just
source
telling
here
you
right here, okay?
contract. I
Google
don't need you
makes,
to explain what a contract is. I know what a contract is.
I know the
Literally working
contract
with
you're
the government.
talking about
I
is
know
the
what
thing
it
I
is.
already tried to address,
But
which
you're
was from
trying to explain. So
2003.
you just talked about how important it is for a lot of these startup companies that they want to become untouchable to get funding specifically and contract specifically
That
with the
doesn't make
U.S.
them
government.
untouchable.
Now
You're
if
lacing this with so much
if I'm
fucking
the U.S. government,
falsehoods.
and specifically if I'm the CIA, and I know how many companies want my contracts, what is it you think that I'm going to give my contracts that everybody
So
wants?
here's
The
right
people
here.
who aren't gonna let me do what the
So
fuck
I'm
I
gonna
want
give you
with my
a
technology?
source now, which is a former CIA. Let's see.
Oh, well, I'm sure that should be trustworthy. Go ahead.
Former CIA, the deputy director position. This joint let's see, intelligent. Hold on, I'm trying to speed scan this here so I can give you some quick info here. So IMO Director John Brantley said during an interview this morning at CIA headquarters in McLean, VA, that the office has purchased 2 Google search appliances, one for its secret networks and one for its top secret networks. Google makes 3 models of the appliance. The basic unit uses 1 PC, and the larger units have either 5 or 8 PCs linked by a total balancing device. And says Google supplied IMO with high-end models under a custom contract. Again, completely fine, completely within. I know you don't want to talk about the legality, but there's nothing really shady about this. She said Google normally sells the devices as part of a service. A Google spokesman said the company also has provided the appliances to the Army, the Energy Department, and other agencies that he declined to name. So just if Google develops technology for certain arms of the government does not mean that it's that like Google is part of the government in and of itself. And second of all, just if the CIA or anyone that gives grants sees a benefit to that technology, that doesn't mean that that technology becomes an agent of the state or an asset of the CIA.
That's literally not how the CIA works. I mean, first of all, if you're
They gave
embedded with the
grants.
CIA
I thought we just
if
talked
you
about
are
this.
literally, I'm telling you by definition, if you are embedded with the CIA anyway, you have officially become an asset, or if you're either an asset officially or you're an unofficial asset.
But we're not
Google,
talking.
we call it unofficial.
But we're talking
asset.
about
No, 'cause
grants.
you just, say it again.
We're talking about grants here. That doesn't make you an
No,
agent
were
of the
just talking
state.
about them being contracted to create technology that the CIA uses. Did
Well,
you
yeah,
see-
that's just the government.
so
That's the government hiring the private sector to do some work for them.
Okay, they're
This is completely
contracting.
normal.
They contracted with SpaceX, and now there's a revolving door where SpaceX does whatever the hell. I'm just giving you an example, another one where SpaceX does whatever the hell the Pentagon tells them to. Now, do you think SpaceX would be safe if they stopped listening to the Pentagon? They're like, nope, we don't want to do that. We're not going to allow our technology to transport weapons in a couple of hours around the world. What do you think happens to SpaceX?
I don't know. I mean, what do you want to tell me?
Realistically speaking, they would tank. They would be destroyed. I mean, that's how it works. You don't survive when you defy the government, which is why
That's actually not true. So, for example, that would be a violation of some of the way that some of these subsidies or donations or funding or grants also work. So you're not actually
a single example of a time where the CIA is held accountable.
Wait, this is an irrelevant pivot. Holy shit! Out of
innocent people.
Let me go ahead and give you this here, okay?
Nah,
so again, I'm gonna go back to actually it was a 1987 Supreme Court decision, and this is talking about the government's right to give subsidies, grants, funding, that kind of thing, right? And one of those requirements is that you cannot cross the line from enticement to coercion. So the state or the government cannot say that we're going to sink your business on. Hold on.
Supreme Court cases and laws.
They are not.
The CIA has never had to adhere to. They've
so
never had to adhere to
when they are given grants,
time again, and they've been held accountable, then I'll be more likely to
so when they're given grants, the federal government is not able to say, hey, if you don't accept our funding here, or if you don't take this grant, we are going to tank your business. What do you mean? What am I? These are the limits.
Where are you getting this? Hunter, you don't live in the real world, bro.
I'm reading you a 1987 Supreme Court decision, dude.
Give me an example. You're reading facts without understanding real life context and real life application. Can you give me a single time with the CIA?
No, because this is irrelevant. Is this how you try to win arguments?
We know the CIA violates international law and domestic law all the time. We know this for a fact. We can look at the Snowden leaks. You can look at the goddamn WikiLeaks, whichever one you want.
This isn't what we were talking about.
The CIA has ever been. Were they held accountable for the Bay of Pigs?
Have you considered putting on like a mask? Because holy shit, dude, you should be like, you should be Miss Incredible with these stretches, dude. This is insane. Elastigirl over here. We got Elastigirl over here with this level of stretch.
And they've literally never been held accountable for it.
Okay, so was the question? Oh my God, Niko! All right.
For an arm of the
so Niko, again, when we're talking about, oh my God, hold on.
The law, yeah, definitely. You have no proof of that. I have plenty of examples of proof where they literally.
So I'm reading. I have you muted now because you just won't stop talking, and everything you're saying is wrong. And you're also asking me questions that are irrelevant to what I'm saying. So I am quoting to you a 1987 Supreme Court decision when it comes to government grants and the rights that the government has when subsidizing businesses or giving funding. Okay, and one of those requirements is that they are not allowed to coerce that company. So the state is legally barred, and they will face consequences. Or I'm sorry, not the state, but the federal government, or really anyone giving a grant, will face consequences if they make it to the point that unless you accept this grant, we're going to tank your business. You're not allowed to coerce them. So whether or not SpaceX would cease to exist without certain government contracts isn't actually relevant nearly as much as were they coerced to take the contract originally? Then if not, it wasn't coercion, there's nothing illegal here, and you're failing to prove anything nefarious. All right, you're unmuted now. Thanks. Because you told me I don't live in the real world, and I'm quoting you like a court case. So
let me go ahead. You're quoting a court case completely out of context. Not talking about how the CIA and the federal government itself, but how the CIA literally has broken laws, has undermined not only the law, but literally the president before.
This is irrelevant to the context
no, it's not
of the conversation.
No. Just because you choose to separate actions that doesn't bolster your argument doesn't mean that it's irrelevant. It means you don't want to accept it because of the relevancy. The CIA has been able to do what it wants, how it wants, with impunity. Okay, with complete total impunity.
So you think that the CIA...
Hold on, let me finish, because you keep trying to figure... The reason you can't figure out how it's all fucking connected is because you keep cutting me off before I fucking finish, Hunter. God damn.
You're right. I'm sorry. Please, go ahead.
Oh, like I was saying, when you can act with impunity, you quoting laws to somehow defend an organization that has never had to adhere to a law is meaningless and, as you call, irrelevant. It doesn't make any sense. I am telling you, you're telling me, oh, nothing you said is fact. No, what I said is all facts. You just keep trying to say they're not facts because you don't like it. When you can undermine the president of the United States of America, bro, really try to start a war between two countries and no one's held accountable, you aren't accountable to anything. And you quoting some laws, by the way, which because you talked about the legality of what In-Q-Tel is doing. Like, once again, bro, like Jim Crow laws were legal until they weren't. And everybody's like, oh shit, maybe that was a bad idea.
Yeah, but this is something that's very, very different. This is different than slavery.
Just because something is legal doesn't mean it's ethical, one. And just because something is against the law doesn't mean those who have broken the law time and time again without accountability are all of a sudden going to start following the law in this one very specific circumstance because it fits Hunter's argument. That's not how shit works in real life, bro. I'm just saying.
Okay, got it. So because you believe that the CIA is able to act with complete immunity, that somehow means that the CIA is giving unlimited funding to Google and Facebook, even though there was only like a couple grants given in the early 90s during the startup phases of Google? I guess I don't understand.
You're talking about a grant. You're talking about a grant.
Yes, because your original claim. Did you forget your original claim already? Because you said,
listen, bro.
You said it's unlimited funding from Google and Facebook, right?
Actually, no.
That's what you said.
So once again, so you're quoting my panel where I said
yes,
it's a little bit more complicated than you just have unlimited funding, do whatever you want to. No,
but it's not even close.
For example, the Founders Fund. The Founders Fund is a good example. With Peter Thiel and I think it's Peter Thiel, Sean Parker was one of them. A couple of guys from PayPal shit, but basically the Founders Fund is a CIA front, and everything you could talk about Facebook, Google,
Groupon.
Facebook, Google,
is that in there?
Say that again.
Groupon, is that one of them? Because I think I know what you're. I think I know what you're talking about. Which I think again you're just talking about a capitalist venture investing into startup tech companies. That's what you're talking about here. Like you're making it sound nefarious when it's not.
No. Okay, because I don't ignore the obvious. I guess that's probably the difference between us. Like I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like, oh yeah, this woman who is a leader in the CIA, specifically for DARPA, which is literally for defense and research and development for the U.S. government, ends up on Google.
I already know about this.
And
it was like one person that formerly worked at the CIA.
Conspiracy theory. No, it's literally
no. That's not the conspiracy. Hold on, wait. That's not the conspiracy theory. The conspiracy theory is that because they hired someone who was once associated with the CIA, that somehow makes Google or Facebook secretly an arm of the CIA. That's the conspiracy theory. You see what I mean? You see the difference there?
It isn't that much of a secret. Like they talk about working with the intelligence community all the time. It's not that. That's not that much of a secret. So, are you familiar with Eric Schmidt? You know who that is?
I really am sick of being asked like a lot of questions. Why don't you just make your point real quick?
I'm not talking past you because anytime I try to string more than three thoughts together, you just go back to the same goddamn talking point. So
you're talking past me a lot right now.
The context of the conversation before I continue, Hunter.
Okay, can you help me understand how Google and Facebook are receiving massive amounts of funding from Facebook or from the CIA?
He was the Obama administration and Defense Department. Then he ends up at Google, CEO. They're making all these massive transactions that all seemingly benefited the CIA directly in one form or another. Okay. Now, once again, if I am working for the literal Defense Department, home of all those alphabet companies that we were just alphabet agencies that we were just discussing, then I end up at Google. By the time that we just talked about, Google being so close-knit to the CIA and to the federal government in general. Do you think that my affiliation with the Obama State Department has nothing to do with why I was placed on Google?
I don't know.
Do you really believe that?
I don't know. I mean, ultimately, it would be conjecture, right? Because if we don't have any proof, then it's either, well, it could be, it might not be. We don't really know, right? There's no proof.
I guess we could call it
but you're filling in the blanks with a story, and that makes it conspiracy.
laws without context.
You're doing it right now. I don't even think you realize.
That wasn't talking about this shit, because what you're doing is conjecture. You're quoting court cases without context, specifically regarding the intelligence community. It has something to do with completely different than what we're discussing, and then be like, but I'm quoting a court case. It does not. I mean, it doesn't make you smarter. It doesn't mean you actually understand shit. It just means you can quote a court case. It doesn't mean you actually understand how it can be applied.
But you're doing it right now. You laid out a story to me, and then you filled in the blanks with a nefarious story. That's the conspiracy theory right there. You're doing it live.
You have not even attempted.
You're doing it right now.
With any of the points that I presented to you.
Because you're not making any.
You can't dismiss. Oh, it's conjecture. If it's conjecture.
No, that's not conjecture. That's an objective fact, actually. We have it on video, dude. We have video footage of you not making a single point.
Give me whatever point you. So if you don't think that it's possible, although they would never do something like that, then give me an example as to why.
Did I say they would never do something like that? That wasn't even the claim.
Like, why would that harm them? What would dissuade them?
The original claim. I would just like to
placing a
remind you that the
Department
original.
As the head of Google, as they're tied up with the intelligence community, please tell me what would dissuade them from doing that.
Remember how the question, do you remember how this conversation actually began on a really good note? It was going to be us talking about how the CIA is giving unlimited funding, or even just a lot of funding to Google and Facebook. But instead, I haven't learned anything about this. You've just explained, well, you don't think, no, you said you don't think the CIA has ever done anything bad? The burden of proof is on you right now, my dude. And all you have are a couple grants.
Make a FOIA request to the InQtel.
All you have are a couple
to the InQtel. Do you know who responds to that? The CIA.
Did you realize that I'm looking at this right here on my screen? I have sources up right here, okay? And we can read about the grants that were given. That doesn't compare. That was
talking about grants from the fucking 90s, Hunter. I'm talking
yes,
about
because
DARPA
your
today.
claim. No, your claim was they get unlimited funding.
Today.
Your claim was unlimited funding, and now you're talking about something completely different.
Come on, bro.
I'm literally trying to just hold you to a single point, and I think you're unable to do it. It's actually really
you're
sad.
Not smarter than this, and I've been giving you too much credit. There's that too. There's a possibility that you're a 25-year-old kid who doesn't actually understand how the world really works.
Yeah, I think I need to go sign up for the military.
I need to go read shit.
Why don't you read some shit? Because it sounds like when you don't know things, you just like to fill it in with stories. Do you always tell yourself bedtime stories before bed? Like how is the CIA in the room with you right now? Is the CIA in the room with you right here? Is it here? Is it in the room?
Is who in the room?
The CIA. Are they listening right now?
According to the NSA and Edward Snowden and literally Congress, yeah, they're literally.
Are they talking? Do you hear them? Do you hear the voices in your head? Because if you do, you might want to talk to someone else about that.
Are you an official asset or unofficial asset? If you ask me if I hear him talking. Because I have not heard a better speaker piece for the fucking CIA since, well, I guess Destiny a week ago.
Well, that's really hilarious, man. I wish that if only you came a little bit with more equipped with some facts about the issue, then maybe you could challenge us. No, apparently us CIA assets are just undefeatable now.
About the grant without talking about the actual.
I did not. You literally made the claim. Hold on. Can I explain how I got to this conclusion here?
That everybody's like, okay, and I don't give a fuck about the grant.
First of all, I'm sorry that you are not a. First of all,
gives grants to people that they don't expect to benefit from. That is fucking lunacy.
No, of course they expect to benefit from it. That wasn't the conversation. Of course they expect to benefit from it.
Intellectual mediocrity, like it really demonstrates why you.
First and foremost, I'm sorry that you seem to be. All right.
I get it. I get it, bro.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry that you seem to be coping with the fact that us CIA agents are just apparently unbeatable. Hopefully you're able to come equipped with a little bit better facts next time. Again, I'd like to just remind the audience, because I keep having people in here. You're muted, by the way, so no one can hear you. But anyway, your original claim was that CIA is giving unlimited funding to Google and Facebook. You then said, hey, that may have been a little bit hyperbolic. I had to be a little reductionist there. That's fine, man. I understand that maybe unlimited funding isn't really the correct term there, but even getting a decent amount of funds, nothing. All you have are startup grants in the 90s, and Google bought Earth Viewer in 2004. That's all you have to walk away from. CIA is giving funding, massive amounts to Google and Facebook, which makes them the equivalent of an arm of the government or part of the CIA. Do you realize how the actual truth of the matter is a massive walk back from the claim you made to the point that your original claim is pretty much just a bullface lie?
No, it's not. You just keep quoting a fucking grant from 1995 and pretending that that's the only time the CIA has ever funded them. That's fucking idiotic.
What else was there?
Literally.
Could you help me understand?
fucking no. Pause.
Because that was your
Pause.
claim, so
And
you should have
now
that burden of proof,
now
right?
you're extrapolating. You're like, oh, because I decided to ignore all the facts that presented to me. I just told you.
You didn't give me any facts.
Told you.
You said you've
Okay,
worked in the
fine.
military,
I
so
give
you
you
know.
another example. How Amazon was given $600 million in what, like a few fucking weeks later? They bought Washington Post, which was the #1 publisher in the world. They just basically post a bunch of fucking CIA propaganda. Like, that's all they do at this point.
Well, I know, because for you, when you're delusional,
so
everything is CIA. I understand that.
You truly believe that which, by the way, Amazon was a failure of a company.
Oh, here we go. Did the CIA make Amazon too?
The government stepped in.
Did the CIA make Amazon too?
Words, Amazon actually owes its success to the federal government. So please, if you had any fucking real world experience with anybody other than your fucking right hand, do you understand how that works? If I owe the success of my business to you, then I am indebted to you.
That's literally not true. So the government
Hold
on, dude. The government steps in and gives the government steps in. Are you gonna run away? Are you serious? Yeah, no. This honestly went way worse than I thought it would. I was hoping that we'd actually be able to get somewhere, but apparently you're way more delusional than I thought. Yeah, fuck off, dude. God, what a fucking idiot. Holy shit. Oh my, So first and foremost, when the government gives subsidies all the fucking time, okay? The government steps in and subsidizes buildings all the time. This does not make that business an entity of the state. It doesn't. And the reason they subsidize those buildings is because they want to benefit the economy in that instance. They see a benefit for the general public, general welfare. This is all in line with how grants and how subsidies work. And that dishonest, spineless, weaselly fuck literally just ran from the conversation because he couldn't handle the fact that I was literally just trying my hardest to poke through his conspiracy theory bullshit. Jesus Christ, dude. Where was his sources? You at least had a source. I had multiple sources. Getting this worked up defending the CIA. I'm not defending the CIA, you fucking idiot. I'm defending actually telling the truth. And if you're going to claim that the CIA is giving unlimited funding or a huge amount of funding to Google and Facebook, and the implication being that that now makes it an entity of the state, that's fucking bullshit. You don't have to like the CIA to recognize that that's stupid. So just shut the fuck up. LOL, Hunter's so mad. Why you rage quit? Wait, are you serious right now? He rage quitted on me, buddy. I'm mad because there are dipshits in my chat who apparently, I mean, maybe they're fans of Niko. Maybe that's why they're fine not like telling lies constantly. But that's why I'm getting a little frustrated. Turns out that I don't like it when people lie. You know, and I'm not like a partisan political hack. I dislike the CIA, but that guy was... You rage quit CIA puppet boy? All right, yeah, you're out. Have fun getting banned, buddy. See ya, fuck you. CIA banned you, all right? I need another fucking bong hit from this. Oh my god. I can't. Oh my god. All right. From a NASA federal agent, I thank you for defending the round earth. We had a huge toxicity rampage earlier. Yeah, that was horrible. You did as well as you could have, Hunter. Thanks, I appreciate it. I don't know. I guess so. I did, honestly. I mean, what can I do when the dude won't stop talking, pivots to like a million other topics, and then by the time he's done, I'm like, dude, you've said like 50 billion wrong things. It's like the classic Gish Gallop. I'm glad I didn't have a mod though, because I need to be able to mute people like that. I can't just let someone like that just fucking ramble. If I never cut him off, he would have just talked the entire time. And if I had just sat there smiling and nodding, he would have talked for an hour and then been like, all right, well, yeah, this was a really great conversation, man. I appreciate it. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye.